Shabbat Shalom. We are broadcasting from the home today based on the weather conditions that are outside, and prayerfully everyone is safe and staying in place safely. I don't know if there is a weather emergency in the region, but it might be. If it is, you want to look into it, and everyone just make sure that they take their necessary precautions and due diligence when they are out there on these roads, and our prayers are with you. But today's Torah lesson is going to be on living in peace while preparing for war. And we want to provide you with the necessary skill sets so that you can learn to live on this earth. Unfortunately, too many people, and you got to go back to other lessons that we were able to provide you, but too many people think that the world is going to end. And one of the statements I like to say is that if the world is going to end, why do preachers still collect money? So why are the rich still getting rich? If the world is going to end, why is e-commerce still e-commerce? If the world is going to end, why are countries still fighting over land? Why are they fighting over stuff if the world is going to end? So what we want to do is understand, what does it mean, the world coming to an end? So how can I actually live in peace preparing for war? And there is a method on how you can do it, because you want to remain alert. You want to know that even though there is a war going on behind the scenes, you don't have to negatively be impacted by it. You can overcome a lot of obstacles that are in the current society that we have. So you have some people who don't think that the world is going to end, and they are gathering, they are manipulative, they are taking advantage of people. And then you have other people who believe that the world is going to end. They are not engaging, and they're actually burying their heads in the sand. So you don't want to be either. You don't want to think that the world is not going to end and then bury your head in the sand. Neither do you want to be the person who says that this is going to be this way at all times, so let's gather and get all that we need to get. We need to live in peace, even though those are the real dynamics that we have. We have people who bury their heads in the sand, thinking nothing's going to ever happen, or something is about to happen. And then we got something who think nothing is ever going to happen. Something will happen, so they bury their heads in the sand. Nothing is going to happen, so they gather and they gang. We, on the other hand, as believers in the Messiah, waiting patiently for the return. One of the things I like to state often is that you'll see death in your generation currently before you're going to see the second coming of the Messiah. The second coming of the Messiah is going to take care of itself. But until that occurs, what are you doing in the meantime? Hence the lesson, living in peace while preparing for war. A war is going to come, but the war is not going to come today. But what I need to do, and I'm not saying stockpile weapons like a lot of Americans are doing, thinking that there's going to be another civil war and there's going to be a collapse. I don't know. I'm not in that prediction model, so I don't know if America is going to collapse as the great Satan. I don't know. And I don't believe that America is the great Satan at all, remotely. I do believe that there are dynamics within the construct of America that make it uniquely difficult for people who aren't in a very specific class. But other than that, America really is a land of opportunity. But to navigate, you need to learn how to live in peace while preparing for war. So that's really not staying on guard, but it's being in a readied state so that when something does happen, you have a plan in place for what's about to go down next. So you're just walking down the street, minding your own business, and somebody comes by and snatches something off of you. You should have been prepared to understand that there was a potential, if you're walking, enjoying yourself, that somebody might see you as a target. So what do you do if you're walking down the street, minding your own business, and somebody comes to snatch you? First thing, or snatches something off of you. First thing you want to do is try to trip them. So you got to be able to react quickly. Stick your legs out, boom, boom. But the goal is have a plan. So you can't just keep walking through life living in peace, not preparing for war. So I'm saying, yes, we live in peace. But if something does happen, we have to be ready to mount up, meet the moment, with the appropriate action of that moment. Every moment is going to be different. So that means every reaction needs to be different. You don't have the same intensity. It depends on what's about to happen, but there needs to be a degree of preparation, even for the unknown. A quick reaction, and then sometimes it takes a pause in breathing. But let's get with our first scripture. In Matthew, the 10th chapter, in verse 16, living in peace while preparing for war. In Matthew 10 and 16, Christ began to teach, behold, I send forth you as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpent, harmless as dove. So that's what we're doing. We are in the middle of people who really want to take advantage of us. So we have to wake up, not with that as a driving mentality, but we have to wake up with a conscious understanding that someone this day is going to attempt to take advantage of me. Because Christ said, I'm sending you out in the world, and I know they're wolves. And I told you that before the war starts, I need you to be at peace. And that peace is akin to being a sheep. A sheep is an animal that is known for its docileness and its willingness to be led and to follow up into death. So Christ is telling us, guys, I know at this stage of our life, I've stripped your ability to physically fight back, but I still need you to be prepared for what's going to come. So what I'm going to do, even though I'm not giving you weapons, I'm giving you information. And the information that Christ gave us, he wants us to use that as our weapons, because that is our strength. That's where information becomes knowledge, and then knowledge becomes strength, because Christ has turned us into sheep, taken away our claws, taken away our teeth, but the information that he gives us knowledge. That knowledge gives us strength. That's how we're able to move. That's how we're able to maneuver, and that's how we're going to win. So he said, I'm sending you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. The wolves are the ones who are going to devour one another. Christ wants to make sure that's not us. We don't devour one another. We do everything we can to look out for one another. Matthew 24, 5 through 8. Matthew 24th chapter, verses 5 through 8. It says this, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. That's still occurring today in this generation. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of war. See, I am living in peace in the midst of war. So Christ taught us, and this is thousands of years ago. Christ said there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the United States is about to start a war with Venezuela. They're about to start a war with Venezuela. They already want regime change. They already have Navy ships posted outside. They've already seized a vessel. America is going to start a war with Venezuela some type of way. They're going to provoke them. Even if that man leaves, they're still going to provoke him. It doesn't matter. Maduro, still going to provoke him. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of war. They're still fighting. It's not here, but the Baltic countries are still fighting. Russia is still trying to get back Ukraine into what is known when I was growing up as USSR. So living in peace in the midst of the war. Let them get sidetracked. We need to focus on the task at hand. We already know there's going to be wars, rumors of wars. Since we have that knowledge, that means our finances should be utilized differently, because at any time, a war can cause a collapse in earnings, a collapse in the economy of scales. So what you need to do is make sure that when you spend or when you make moves financially, that you understand that you want to try to protect what you have, or you want to start to stock up on extra things that you don't have, so that when things do go sideways and they raise the price where other people are being taken advantage of, you are not, because you have been more prepared, because you know you are dealing with wolves. You're the sheep. They're the wolves. They said that the end is going to come, and people are going to say that Christ is here. Christ is coming. Christ is there. Don't believe it, and we're in that day. There's going to be wars, rumors of war. I already told you about two, one potential, one's going on. It's happening in our day. It says, see that ye are not troubled. That's very important. Just because these wolves are devouring everybody else does not mean they have to devour us. But the only reason they're not devouring us is because we got a plan. And we're able to navigate and we're able to move differently because we know it's coming. Again, we're walking down the street and somebody snatches something from us. We just want to be prepared. We want to be prepared. And we want to be able, that's why he said, well, be prepared to do what? Well, one, be in physical enough shape that when they start running, they see you right on their tail. That's going to alter that. Then they drop it because then you grab them and they drop it and then they keep going. So there is a way to understand how I'm living in peace, but a war might come. And if a war does come, I'm ready for whatever the war comes. So there's going to be wars and rumors of war. So we got to prepare ourselves for the economy to shift, for things to shift. So sometimes we dial back on our finances so that when there is a shortage, not only we won't be taken advantage of, we've also stored up. So we got a little extra, and that might buy us a little time until things level off. I'm trying to stress these are cycles in humanity, and they're not going to change. It's not going to change that you are sheep sent out amongst people who are mean and disruptive. That's not going to change. It's not going to change that people are going to say, I am the Christ. They're only saying they're the Christ to get something. So this is how you know a person is not Christ. And I hope all of you are writing this down and paying attention. When Christ comes back, he's coming back with his hombres. He's coming back with the amigos. He's coming back with the angels. So whoever says that I am Christ, if they're not saying it in the air, it ain't the Christ. See, when Scripture, Christ come, he's splitting his clouds. He's split. Clouds are going to be separated. Sky separated. And he's going to have a whole host of people with him. But yet we're still believing these people who are saying that they're Christ or they're leading us. How, if you Christ, where are the people? Forget establishing your kingdom. When he comes back with all them people, you know there's going to be a change. A change is about to take place when you see Christ. And again, Christ is not going to tell you he's Christ on the earth. Christ, when he comes back, he's going to be in the air and he's going to have a whole lot of people. That's how you know they're not the Christ. Because how they are presenting themselves. When Christ comes back the second time with his immortal body, with his heavenly host, the world is going to know. Scriptures described it as this: every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess, even them that pierced him shall behold him. So everybody's going to know. It's not going to be an event where somebody told you or you read about. You're going to see it. So we know that hasn't happened yet, even though Christ's returning, even though people are saying they are Christ. Wars and rumors of wars. We know that's occurring, but that's okay. Because Christ told us, and that's what I'm trying to convey to you, we're living in peace, be not troubled. A war is going to come, but it ain't here yet. So we don't have to be troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So that's why we are living in peace now. Every day, I try to encourage people to get stocks. The reason I want you to get stocks, not because I want someone to take advantage of you, not because I want you to get into the market. I want you to have stocks because stocks give you the sensation of a future. Stocks actually go up. It says the company, when you invest in a good company and the company is going to be there, it actually says that you want to invest in your future. So anytime you buy a stock, you're automatically saying, I have a future. That goes a long way when you are in the midst of turmoil, understanding I have a future. And what stocks are, you buy that, you buy the right one, it goes up in value. And when you have compound interest on most stock accounts, every 10 years it doubles. So if you started with 5 and 10 is 10 and 20, it's 20, and the next 10 is going to be 40. So you keep your money in a state where you believe and you know there's going to not only be an increase, but every 10 is going to be a doubling. But it helps you look towards the future, because Christ said an end is coming. It's not yet. People are going to lie and say they're the Christ. I know they're not, because the cloud's not split. People are going to say there's a war, and then when they say there's a war, they're going to jack up prices. And then if you're not wise, you're not going to wait it out. Just wait it out until the prices come back down, because they're going to always say that there's a war. There's always going to be a major natural disaster. There's always going to be a tsunami somewhere. There's always going to be an earthquake ripping through the earth. We can't change that. But what we can change is our ability to be prepared, living in peace while preparing for war, because a war is coming. Not in your lifetime. It will not happen in your lifetime. It just won't. And I'm going to show you why. But it won't happen in your lifetime. But that does not mean you shouldn't prepare yourself. And then he continued. He said in verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation. Is nation not rising against nation? I'm trying to point out a cycle that is not going to change. But just because a nation rose up against another nation does not mean the war is going to end. It's not. Nations are going to continue to rise up. I cannot tell you specifically where the next conflict is going to come from. But I can tell you men in power are easily insulted. And men with armies are even more so easily insulted. And remember, any man that has an army or access to an army or oversee an army, they're never commissioning themselves to go fight on the battle. That's a whole nother Torah lesson. That's a whole nother discussion, but that's something that you need to think about. Why are you listening to people commissioning you to go die? Because they were insulted. You can't get offended based on what happened to somebody else. You got to get offended based on what happened to you, even if it's your spouse, unless it's some kind of assault, and that's different. There's different ways to handle that. So nations are going to rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. You're always going to have it. There's going to be pestilence. You're always going to have it. There's going to be earthquakes in different places. You're always going to have it. All these are the beginning of sorrows, but Christ summed it up in this. The end is not yet. But until the end, we are tasked with living. Living what? Living your life. But how do I live my life? You need to live your life to the fullest. You need to live in peace and prepare for war, but enjoy your life to the fullest, not worrying about the wars and the rumors of wars, not worrying about the pestilence, not worrying about the earthquakes, not worrying about the tsunamis, not worrying about nations rising against nation. Christ already said this is going to happen, but he told us, don't be troubled. Why? Because Christ said, I'm sending you out as sheep among wolves. I know I've taken your teeth. I know I've taken your claws. Christ is saying, but Christ is saying, I'm giving you wisdom. That wisdom is going to be information. That information is going to get you knowledge. That knowledge is going to get you power. Once you get that power, you're going to be able to move in and out of the dynamic of people fighting and all that fighting going on, and you're going to go right through and won't get touched. The pestilence going on, you're going to go right through and you're going to not get touched. Why? Because I'm living in peace, but I'm preparing for war. And if something does happen, I'm ready to rise up and handle whatever needs to be handled. And then after it's handled, I go back to peace. I'm a sheep. But my information that gave me knowledge, that gave me power, that's how we're going to make it in every generation. Because what I'm telling you, this stuff is not going to change. Men are always going to rise up against one another. They're always going to be offended, and they're always going to sin. So 3% of the world's population control the wealth. 3%. The world, billions, control wealth. 3%. So when they send sons to war, are they sending any sons from that 3%? What do you think? No. So what? We're getting caught up in the wrong things. And we're allowing ourselves to get caught up in the wrong things. Our focus needs to be is if somebody comes at us, we're going to handle it. If we see a rising of something that we see might be destructive, we need to get involved, tamp it down, then go back to peace. In our lives, living our lives to the fullest, knowing that is going to end, but the end is not yet. So we always, which is why we encourage you to get stocks, we always have what is known as a forward outlook. Our outlook always, when somebody says that it's raining tomorrow, in your mind, you need to say the sun is shining on top of the rain. Sun's always shining. People say the sun's not shining. That's a statement that we use. It's so factually not correct. That's not factually accurate. Sun is always shining. It's behind the rain. And a forward thinking person says, yes, the sun is shining. The rain is growth. I want growth. Rain always represents growth. Rain also literally is oxygen, and you need it. So it is shining. I'm saying the sun. So when you think there are darkened clouds, or when you think it is raining, it's not. Sun is actually shining. The rain is for you to have oxygen so that you can breathe and so that you can be prepared, because this person about to run down the street and snatch whatever you got on. And you need a plan in place to handle it. That's why we are wise as serpents, harmless as doves. That's what we are. But we are sent out as sheep among wolves. So the end is not yet. We live in peace. We prepare for war, and we keep our mind. This is something that we want to try to break out. I won't have the time to break it out today, but we do want to break this term out later. So we're living in peace, and we're preparing for war by keeping our minds focused, our minds sharp, and our minds shaped. We want to start helping people shape their minds, understanding that we are amongst wolves and we're going to need wisdom. So you not only need your mind focused, you not only need your mind sharp, but you also are going to have to start having your mind shaped. That's going to be vitally important. So you might ask me, what is a shaped mind? A shaped mind is a mind molded to the completion of a particular task. If your mind is shaped, that means there's a task out there, you're going to complete it. You learn how to complete tasks, which is why having a forward thinking perspective, a forward outlook, getting stocks, it helps you to understand that even though a war is coming right now, I'm living in peace, but I need my mind shaped so that this society that's going to have wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, it's going to have famine, I need to gear up, guard up, live through it, living my best life. And I'm saying we can get there and we can do it. Unfortunately, most of the minds that you're going to encounter in your generation today and in most generations, they've been molded to think this. They've been molded to think that they can't be successful. They've been molded to think that they can't achieve. They've been molded to not work hard or work out. They've been molded to believe that they're never going to amount to much. They're molded to believe that I'm a woman, so I can't be successful. I'm old, so I can't be successful. I'm young, I can't be successful. That's a shaped mind. You've already defeated yourself before you even started. You cannot defeat yourself before you even get out there. I'm living in peace. I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to first get wisdom, get that information, get that knowledge, then get that power. But my mind is shaped to believe that not only are things possible, I'm about to make things possible by my work ethic, by my ability to understand that I know something is coming. I don't know what it is, but if I remain prepared, I will be able to brace myself for the impact. Before any accident in somebody's life, they say, brace for impact. Well, we know what's coming. I live in peace now, so whenever it happens, I need to do what I can to remain prepared. But you don't want your mind shaped like the mind of these people today who are already defeated by what they can and cannot do. But Mark 4:19 says this. Mark 4:19 says this. And the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the lust of other things entering in choked the word, and it became unfruitful. So if you're not careful, which is living in peace, preparing for war, you're going to allow the wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, earthquakes. You're going to allow all of these things that are occurring to actually shape what you think you should be doing. And I'm saying it doesn't matter that there is catastrophe all around you or that other people are falling down all around you. I'm not saying don't look out for them, don't protect them. I'm saying there is still a space for you to still be successful no matter who has not been successful before you. There is still a path for you if you learn how to keep your mind focused, if you learn how to keep your mind sharp, and you learn how to keep your mind shaped. That's how you live in peace. I'm going to stay focused, understanding there's a lot that's going to go on around me, but that's okay. It does not need to impact me and what I'm doing because I am laser focused on what needs to be achieved. And my mind is shaped on my fullest potential. So your fullest potential is not reached. It's not. And it's often not reached at the moment that you pursue fullest potential, but it can be reached. You can reach your full potential. It takes a little bit of time. Every generation, we can't change it, but they're going to see war. We don't want the cares of this world to send us backwards. Mark 14:7 says this. This is what Christ is saying to us. Christ said, the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches, it choked out some unbelievers and they became unfruitful. Unfruitful is somebody who's not producing. Mark 14:7 says, for ye have the poor with you always, and whatsoever ye will, ye may do them good, but me you have not always. So Christ has pointed out, what we're pulling out for the sake of this discussion is that the poor you're going to have with you at all times. They're not going nowhere. So you're going to have poor forever. You're going to have wars forever until the war comes. The war that's going to come is going to be Christ. That war, you're going to know. You won't be able to AI Christ when he comes back. I assure you of that. It's going to be him. I didn't know if there's any questions before I proceeded on. I know we got several logged in, and we thank everyone who did log in to the live stream. I didn't know if anyone had any questions concerning living in peace while preparing for war. If not, we're going to move on. Every generation of mankind will see war, and they will see famine. Those aren't going to change. They will see the poor. That's not going to change. They will see destruction. That can't change. We are going to see governments rise, and we're going to see governments fall. Our task or our ask is to wait patiently, looking at the signs of the time and making sure we are making the right moves so that we will not be impacted by the current status and that we escape. So we know that we are sheep among wolves. We know that we are supposed to be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. We know that there's always going to be a shift dynamic in power, a change in power, a rise, a fall in power, a takeover in power, somebody wins, somebody losing power. We know that prices are going to go up, prices are going to go down. Our focus is to make sure that we are at peace, not only with ourselves, but we shape our mind so we learn to be at peace with our environment. Even though it's always changing, we don't have to. And we know a war is coming. So we're in peace. And when something rises up, we are ready to do whatever needs to be done to get to that next. So Isaiah 59:19 says this. Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. when the enemy shall come in a flood, the Spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. So this is the protection for those who fear the name of the Lord. This is the protection that is afforded to us. So when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Almighty actually raises a standard against that enemy. So that standard is simply going to be a wall to block that. That's why I can live in peace. I'm okay with my teeth being taken. I'm okay with my claws being removed, because the scripture says through the book of Isaiah, I will be your rear reward, meaning that the Lord has your back. And now we know that when the enemy comes up against us, we don't have to fight. Yahweh is going to raise up a standard against that enemy, so we can still live in peace and still prepare for what is to come, and have our minds shaped so that the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches won't choke us out. We don't want to be choked out. And if your mind is shaped, if your mind is sharp, and if your mind is focused, then you won't be. So a war is coming, but the war that's going to come is going to be more like a reckoning. And the reckoning is going to begin in Revelation, the 8th chapter, verses 1 through 13. Revelation, the 8th chapter, verses 1 through 13. A war is coming. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of a half hour. And I saw the seven angels which stood before Yahweh, and to them were given seven trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints. So this is an angel that is taking, and it's before the throne of God. They're taking the prayers of the saints, putting it on top of hot coals, and those prayers are actually going up before Yahweh as a sweet smelling Savior. So what are those prayers? Those prayers are these people who are trying to take advantage of us while we're living in peace. Yahweh is getting all this information uploaded by an angel with scooping the prayers of the saints and pouring into a hot coals. And when that scent goes up, it is uploaded to Yahweh, and Yahweh is put into remembrance of the promise that he left for us, that his son told us, I am sending you as sheep among wolves. Yahweh is sitting there and he is being uploaded. He is taking in the essence of, I'm going to send my son back, who not only redeemed man, but I'm returning him back so he can capture that class, harvest them, and then go back with them in that new world that is to come. So that's what this angel is doing with this golden censer at the altar that is before the Almighty God. And we continue in verse 5. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it to the earth. And once the angel took what was in the censer and he cast that to the earth, there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And seven angels, which had seven trumpets, prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail mingled with fire and blood, and they were cast upon the earth. So when I'm telling you about the second coming of Christ and the war coming, and I'm telling you that it won't happen in your lifetime, this is what I can tell you. There has been no recorded, documented event that this, what you're reading now, has occurred, which is hail, fire, mingled with blood, coming from heaven on earth. So since I know that the first angel of the seven trumps has not sounded. So what we're reading now is about a war that is to come. The war is not even here yet. This is one of 7 angels that are sent to destroy portions of the earth before the second coming of Christ. That's why I can say with confidence that Christ has not returned a second time yet, because this event has not taken place yet, but this event will take place. So what do I do in the meantime? I don't allow the cares of the world to get me to believe that he's not coming back for me. I know he's coming back for me, but he's not coming back in my lifetime. How do I know he's not coming back in my lifetime? Because you still get people out there saying that they're Christ. I know he's not coming back in my lifetime because there are still wars and rumors of wars. There was pestilence, and Christ said, the poor you're going to have with you always. When Christ said the poor you're going to have with you always, he's not referring to the second coming, the 1,000-year period, and then after the 1,000-year period, and he's definitely not referring to eternity. He's referring to an earthly existence. As long as we got poor people, Christ has not came back. Because when Christ comes back, he's eliminating all of that. And there should be no hurt and no harm in his holy mountain, according to the book of Isaiah. So none of that has happened yet. So we stay living in peace, preparing for war. We're harmless until you try to harm us. We're harmless until you try to harm us. And then you find out that we're not the ones that you want to deal with quite like that, because we already have ourselves prepared, and we have a way of escape, and Yahweh is allowing Yahshua, when the enemy comes on like a flood, to raise up a barrier for us so that we can still maneuver. And we don't have to worry about anything because God's got us. So I'm letting you know that your prayer, while you are in distress, for whatever reason, your prayer goes into an altar, and an angel, before the 7th angel sound their first trumpet, that's going to bring fire, rain down, hell, fire, and brimstone, those prayers of distress that we send up to Yahweh go to this altar. An angel is there, scooping them up with a censer, pouring it out on hot coals. The smell goes up, uploaded, and Yahweh is remembered that his children are still on earth and that his son has not came back to put us into the paradise that was promised to us. But we don't want to get choked out living down here saying, since the Lord ain't came yet, I'm going to give up. Why care? Somebody's taking advantage of me. Why do something about it? No, somebody's taking advantage of you. Use laws, use attorneys, use prayer, and get that fixed. Don't just allow yourself to be a doormat for the adversary or for this enemy. That's not what the scriptures have encouraged any of us to do. He's allowed us to utilize the law. Scripture says the law was made for the lawless and disobedient. That's who we're going to use it for at all times. So we're seeing a picture being painted of an error. Christ told us there's going to be wars and rumors of wars, and there are. He told the truth. Christ now said there's going to be an angel going to blow a trumpet. After that trumpet has sounded, it's going to rain hellfire and brimstone and blood on the earth. Well, that hasn't happened. Hadn't happened. That means that war is coming, but the war is not here yet. So we're still living in peace, our minds shaped, and we are living our lives to the fullest now. We're not waiting till later. We're not going to live our life to the fullest when we get to the kingdom. Stop that. You can live your life to the fullest right now before you get to the kingdom. You have to wait. You can live it in the fullest now. You can enjoy yourself now. You can live prepared now. You can get wisdom, grab information, get some knowledge, and get some power where you can make moves and maneuvers for yourself. Let's keep reading about this angel. So there was hellfire mingled with blood, and they cast it to the earth, And what it did, it killed a third part of the trees. And the scripture says it burned up and all the green grass burnt up. So and this destruction is not global warming. So the angel destroyed this. That means a third of the trees have not been destroyed. So I'm not even saying that means that Christ was coming back. That don't mean Christ ain't coming back behind that. We still got 6 more angels and they got something to say about it. But I'm saying we've not seen fire in hell yet. So we know Christ ain't coming back tomorrow. We've not seen a third of every green thing burned up. That means Christ ain't coming back. That's what it means. And that's on a planet. That's on the entire planet. This one is not regional. This is a planet. A third of everything is going to burn up because of a great fire that was initiated coming from outer space. It has not happened yet, but it will happen. And when it does happen, you need to have a plan in place. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. So I don't know if you realize it. That's why I keep trying to tell people that the scriptures were written in the modern day. We still have ships. So when this was written, we had ships. Guess what they own ships today. I told you they got ships out on the coast of Venezuela waiting to do something. So we still got ships. So you know the scriptures are telling you the truth. You know that it's lined up. We still got ships, and they said these ships are going to be destroyed. A third part of everything that is on the ocean is going to be destroyed, including the ships. That has not occurred yet. So when that person said that they were Christ, I'm telling you, that's how I know they're lying. I told you the first inference. The clouds wasn't split. He's not back with his host. Now you know, wait a minute. A third of the green things have not died. A third of what was in the ocean has not died. That means I need to still live in peace while preparing for war, making sure the cares of this world don't make me unfruitful. See, an unfruitful person will never get anything, but will always ask for everything. Anybody that asks you for something and didn't work for it is a thief and a robber. It's just that simple. Christ said, my Father worked, so I work. If you don't work for it, you don't deserve it. You've not earned it. Stop asking somebody else for, and I'm not talking about a husband and a wife. So of course, a wife is going to ask for every dime that she's never earned and never will earn. I can't do anything about that dynamic. It's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about people who are not our spouses. Those people are thieves and robbers. Your wife and your husband, that's your wife or your husband. Ain't nothing you can do about that. That just is what it is. But one day you got to cut them off. Say, baby, the bank account. We ain't got that in there. I ain't got that left. Gone. But other than that, you work for everything that you want. Caveat, spouse. So no. So that's how we're going to know. If we continue to use these as our standards, and we know that it's going to happen, that the war's going to come, but we got to live in peace. But while we're living in peace, we don't want the cares of the world to choke us out and then cause us to be unproductive. People who live their lives solely based on the return of Christ, they fail. People who live their life understanding that Christ is going to return, but that does not impact me living my fullest life, they're the ones who won't get choked out by the cares of the world. I'm not sitting in a chair waiting for Christ to return. That's the servant that buried his talent in the sand and did nothing. And Christ told that servant, called him slothful and lazy. He said, you would have done better had you taken my money and put it in what I just told you, the market. The exchangers was the stock market. So when I told you to put your money in the market, that was even from the scriptures, because the person who was a slothful steward who buried his head in the sand because he was scared did not put his money to the exchangers, which is at that time a market, like a stock market, a bank that gains you interest. You need to be fruitful, and you need to know that you got a future. So don't worry about the war that's going to come, because you've not seen a third of every green thing dying. You've not seen a third of everything in the sea die. And you've not seen hail and fire with blood come down on the earth. You've not seen that yet. Let's continue. And those ships are going to be destroyed. Those were the first two angels. Verse 10 says the third angel, they're getting ready. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and the fountains of waters. And the name of that star is called wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. And men died of the waters because they were bitter. So this has not occurred, which for the most part, what the writers are describing is a meteor. A meteor are going to be particles from or pieces of a star that collapsed, and the star that collapsed sends out all of the pieces and they become meteorites, and they're constantly going in outer space. One day, one of those collapsed stars are going to come and hit Earth and turn the rivers bitter, which is our water source. That has not happened, but I know a war is coming and I'm not going to be distracted. So I'm giving you this information so that it can be knowledge and power for you when that person tries to convince you there is no Christ, there is no second coming, and there is no kingdom. It hadn't happened yet, but I'm telling you, it's going to happen, because what Christ said was going to happen prior did, and he's not finished. Let's keep going after wormwood. Verse 12, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as a third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So right now this happens in Alaska all the time because of a season change. But the whole world is going to experience the sun being darkened, the moon being darkened. That's not occurred. And since it has not occurred, I know the second coming is not right behind that. And I beheld and heard an angel flying in the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of trumpets of the three angels, which are yet to sound. They ain't even blew yet. And we've already had 4 angels that came through and did a lot of damage. But we got 3 more to go. Living in peace, preparing for war, keeping your mind shaped so that the cares of this world will not cause you to lose your greater focus. Your goal is to gain wisdom. From that wisdom, you're going to gain information. From that information, knowledge. And then from that knowledge, you're supposed to be getting some power with it so that you can make moves. So that when there are wars and rumors of wars, you won't be impacted. When there is poverty, you won't be impacted. When there is pestilence, you won't be impacted. And when the enemy comes up against you like a flood, you will be able to conveniently stand behind that standard and be protected. Thanks again for everybody that's sitting with us. Hopefully everybody is staying in place. All those, of all those, God bless you, who were able to open up the doors of the church and able to physically get to the facility. That's always a best case scenario. But thanks all of those for sitting with us. Thank all those who might have had questions. If I did not get to it, I apologize. I'll come back and try to answer any questions on this thread, and prayerfully you'll be able to get back later. But continue to pray for us as we continue to pray for you. Thanks again for sitting with us.